name's Carrie. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here while I chat about my creative makes and stuff. Today I have a winner for the giveaway that I announced last episode. This is going to be just a quick one because it's only been like I think a couple weeks or maybe not even quite, but I wanted to announce the winner. So I will do that and then show you a couple of the things I have been working on. So thank you. I hope your holiday prep, if you're doing that, is going well. And I hope if you don't celebrate and this is a hard time of year for you, that you are finding a way to find some peace. Today is December 6th, 2022. We are a little drizzly today. We did have a tiny bit of snow over the weekend, which was very exciting. It didn't stick. I mean, we got enough to stick that was like a dusting, but it didn't last very long. But it snowed all day long. So just even seeing the snow coming down was just lovely. I love when it snows. We don't get it all that often here. I'm near the Portland area of Oregon, and we get some. I'm pretty much at sea level, so I'm not in any kind of elevation. If it's going to snow, it's got to be pretty cold. So anyway, it was fun while it lasted. I'll take whatever I can get. Like I said, I've got a giveaway announcement. I've been making a few things that I wanted to share, and I'm not sure if I'll record again before Christmas. Never say never, but more than likely this would be my last one for the year until after the new year. But like I said, never say never. Okay, so on the wall, I have a table runner that I use at Christmas. This is it wasn't a pattern. I didn't follow a pattern. I was curious and exploring what could I make if I just worked with those 60-degree triangles. And I put together this, and I chose greens because it kind of felt like it looked like Christmas trees, you know, when you're looking at it the right way. So I just pulled out a bunch of different greens and used a beigey background and put them together and made that. I actually made two versions of it because I was just playing around, and I have another one that's black, white, and red that I put up like around New Year's. But so that'll go on my table for Christmas. I decorated my little tree. That's probably the only decorations I'll have up in the house. I might put a little tree downstairs. I'm not real big on the decorating of any kind. I don't really decorate. I don't get into, I love looking at Christmas decorations, and I love people that really get into it, and I can enjoy that. But for myself, having to take stuff and put it away so that I can put other stuff out to then take it down and put my original stuff back out is not a job that I want to do. So I don't decorate a whole lot. We're not usually home at Christmas time. So, I mean, I'm home prior to Christmas, but over the Christmas, like immediate Christmas day and a couple days before and after, I'm not home. So it doesn't matter. I don't have kids at home. I don't have grandkids. My son's old enough that he doesn't need to have the house look. His house looks more Christmassy than my house. My son-in-law likes to decorate. I should hire him to come over and decorate my house because their house looks really good. Mine, I have that. We do have Christmas lights outside. I do like to have that outside because I love things to be twinkly and stuff. So enjoy it. This is all it is. All right, so let's get into the winner. So what I had offered to give away was this cowl that I made. It is the Snuggle Down Cowl by... I made this because I wanted to, and it is fingering weight held with mohair or mohair blend, and I loved working on it, and I will never wear it because it's just too much. So I offered to give it away. So the keyword was to use Snuggle. A lot of you entered, and I appreciate it very much. And I did a random YouTube picker using the keyword Snuggle, and it picked Debbie Hinkst. So Debbie, congratulations. I will send this to you as soon as you give me your address. You can email me at thecreativeobsession@gmail.com. You can message me on Instagram. I'm at Carrie Makes Stuff. And between one of those two places, whichever you choose, give me your address and I will get this mailed out to you pronto. So thank you all for participating. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I am wearing an old shawl. I made this several years ago. It is the Random Acts of Color wrap by Debbie Reese and Amy Meeks, who were the Periscoping sisters. They had done a podcast for a while, and I haven't seen anything. I don't know if they still are, and it's just not coming up in my feed, or they're just not doing it anymore. But this was that using yarn, I don't know. But I was too warm to wear a sweater, and I thought, well, this keep me just a little bit toasty. So I'll put the link to that. I always put links down below in the description box if I've mentioned anything that I've made. So I have made a few Christmas gifts. I'm not going to show them this episode because I want to wait till I give them to the recipients before I talk about it. So I'll record a separate thing after they've been given. I'll add that to my next episode. But I did make something that I'm going to rip out. I had this kit for a hat with these gorgeous yarns that was given to me. Oh, goodness. And it was for a color work hat. And I just didn't feel like the colors contrasted enough in the color work part to put through all that effort. But I loved the colors and I thought, oh, very wintry and fall. So what can I do with it? And I found the Brioche Hat, and I'll put the link, like I said, below. It's worsted weight, which this is worsted. And I'm like going like gangbusters, and I'm thinking this is so beautiful. And it's so nice and squishy. It's going to be a great winter hat. Like last week we were in the 20s and 30s most of the time. So when I would take Violet for a walk, it's chilly, and I do wear a hat, especially if there's any kind of a breeze. And I thought, oh, this will be perfect. So I'm cruising along just feeling so proud of myself. Like, this brioche is just awesome. I just love it. And then I get to the decreases at the top of the hat, and it's not going well. So I'm thinking I'm going to rip it out. So I don't know what you can really see, but it just is too loose. Like I think this one's going okay. I think it's just this one. Like, I shouldn't be able to do that. You know what I mean? So something's not right. I don't know. Maybe I'll just... I don't know. I was going to rip it out, and now I'm like, well, maybe I'll just fudge it. It's a hat. It's to the top of the head. Does it really matter? So maybe I take it back. This isn't going to be a rip out. This is going to get finished. I'm going to finish it one way or the other. But I love these colors. There was a couple more colors that I haven't used that came in this kit. Okay, my stitch marker came off. Okay, that's not good when your stitch marker comes off. My progress keeper. Hopefully that was beginning of the round, which is weird that I would have put it on there if I was going to rip it out. Anyway, these are some other colors that came with it that I won't use. Goodness gracious, I hope that was right here. I think so. Yeah, this is another spot where there's a big hole. And it doesn't matter what I pull. I don't know. I'll just start knitting two together and just forget the brioche, right? I'm trying to make the hat decreases in brioche, and something's not going right. And I understand how to do it. I have done it. I'm not like, I have to pay attention. You know, it's not second nature to me, but I have done it. But for some reason, this isn't working. But I think, like I said, if I just stop doing the brioche part, it's really pretty. Okay, so much for that. I don't know. Stay tuned. You never know what I'll end up doing with that. Okay, so I also recently, excuse me, now I have fuzz in my throat. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some of my recent obsessions. As you can tell, I've got my knitting machines pulled out. So I have talked before about I have a flatbed knitting machine. I actually have two of them. They're both brothers, or made by brother. They're two different gauges. So I have a standard machine which will knit the finer thread or finer yarns like lace and fingering, and then I have a mid-gauge machine that will knit like DK worsted, probably up to Aran. They also have machines that are bulky that go for like the chunky bulky. So the difference in them, they all function the same pretty much. It is a flatbed with a bunch of hooks. They're latch hooks. They have little latches on them, and you slide a carriage, and those hooks go through the carriage in a way that pulls them out, grabs yarn, and makes a knit stitch. On my flatbed machine, I have a ribber attachment. You can see here, this part here, that's the ribber. It attaches to the machine. The machine would normally lay flat on the table, but when you add a ribber, you have to tip it so that you have space for your knitting to go down and keeps the tension even. So I also have a mid-gauge machine, which is the DK worsted weight. That is a plastic machine, which has what makes the difference is the hooks are different size, so they can grab different size yarns, and in the knitting bed they're spread further apart, so that stitch from this stitch to this is bigger. It's like knitting with different size needles based on like if you're hand knitting, you won't knit size 1 needles with DK weight yarn. Like that just doesn't work. So you need bigger needles to knit the bigger gauge of yarn, and that's what the machines do. Okay, so I was curious. I have a friend who's collecting hats because her daughter works for public transportation in Portland, drives a bus, I believe, and hands out hats to homeless or people that look like they could use a hat. And so I gave her a bunch of yarn that I had that was like extra. She's making all these hats, and I thought, gosh, I would really like to help and make my own hats and just give her the finished hats. But, you know, it takes a while. And I was curious, like, could I make a hat? I'm making sock tubes. Can I make a hat? I mean, really, you're just making a bigger tube. I don't know how to decrease it because with the ribber, the knitting's going in between the two beds, and I can't get in there to manipulate any stitches. And if I drop a stitch, I don't have access to it because it's underneath and behind, and it's like a mess. So I just got on YouTube one morning. I'm sitting there drinking my coffee. I'm like, you know, making a hat on a knitting machine or something like that. And I came across this lady's video or YouTube channel. So her name is Anna. Where is she? Anna Haferman. And she doesn't have a ton of videos, but she had a video on how to knit a hat. And I'm like, this is awesome. So it's knitting it on the mid-gauge machine, which knits the DK and worsted, which is just flatbed. It doesn't have a ribber. You can't attach a ribber. It's not the machine for that. You only can knit things flat. And when you knit on these machines, they just knit stockinette unless you hand manipulate the stitches. It doesn't do garter. I mean, you can get a garter bar that does something, and I mean, like, you have to manipulate it. Otherwise, if you're just knitting, it knits stockinette. So she had a pattern, or she had instructions on how to do it on exactly the machine that I have. And I'm like, perfect. I don't have to try and like change anything or work out anything. And I had some acrylic yarn that I had because I used to knit hats until I got into knitting all the other stuff. And so I had some yarn left over for that. So I knit a hat. Now this is a worsted weight, self-patterning, like Vanish Choice something or another. I've had it in my stash for a few years. And basically it is a hung hem. It's a folded brim. You pick up the stitches and knit them together on the machine, so it makes a nice smooth thing. And then it's knit flat, but you seam it with a mattress stitch. So you do have a seam, but I had Jim put it on because he doesn't have any hair. And so I thought, can you feel that? And he's like, you can't even tell it's there. And so it seamed up, and I thought, perfect. Now this is all based on the gauge she gave in her instructions. I think I would go down in my tension, which would tighten my gauge just a little bit, because I feel like it's just a little too airy. You know, like if somebody's out in the cold and they want to be warm, I think it needs to be just a little tighter. So I'm going to make some more. I'm going to tweak the gauge a little bit, and till I get like the perfect recipe for it. So this, from start to finish, so start from casting it on the machine to mattress stitching and closing and weaving in ends and all that, was like 45 minutes. So I can do that, because it would take me a while to knit a hat, because I don't stick with things long enough to finish in a timely manner. So it just cinches it at the top. There's some different techniques you use to lessen the number of stitches up here so it's not super bulky. But I think it works. And if you were the type to wear a pom-pom, you know, like if you made something like this for yourself, you could put a pom-pom on it. So while I was perusing her channel, she also showed how you can use what's called a tuck stitch. It's called a tuck stitch on the machine. What it would be similar to if in hand knitting is like a slip stitch. And I made this. This is my seam right here, which you, I guess, can kind of tell, but other than that, you can't really tell. Same kind of thing. It's a hung hem that you attach. This was using 2 different colors of Knit Picks Chroma Twist Worsted, or Chroma Worsted Twist, or whatever. So it's color changing yarn, so both of the colors change. And I love this so much. It took a little bit to learn it, because I had to hand manipulate stitches. Like you pulled stitches forward so they wouldn't knit with like the purple, and then change the color on the carriage, and then only knit like what the yellow or the orange colors were. And so just keeping track of where I was a little challenging. It was a couple false starts, and I started again. But this is so cute. I was going to give this to Gail, but I think I'm going to keep it because I love it. So it's double brim here. This is worsted, so it is, because it's a slip stitch, it's not any thicker. You know what I mean? Like if you do color work, it's double, it's because it's stranded. But I think this will be really pretty. And I mean, come on, the colors are pretty dang cool. So the colors did most of the work. Then I was like, well, that was really fun. Let me make another one. I have a little bit of the yarn left, so I made another one. So this was the remaining of that orange, and it only went to here, and I ran out, and I had some left over that was in these like blues and green colors, so I just tacked that on. This is the same purple as this one. It just was a continuation, and I still think that looks pretty cool, even though I changed the color on the top. So same deal, pretty cute. Now I have hat here. So also, while I was on this lady's channel, I saw where she was giving instructions for making like chimney stockings. And I thought, oh, that would make a really cute hat. So I kind of used the technique and the stitch count and stuff that I had for this. So I knew size-wise how many stitches to put on, and like what gauge would work and that kind of stuff, but loosely followed her way of making the bricks. Now she did it as an 8-stitch repeat, and I did mine as a 6-stitch repeat so that the bricks were smaller. And I posted it on Instagram, and I showed it. It's the same kind of thing. It's seamed, hung hem, that whole thing. And it was so cute. I'm like, and I made it for Jim, because last year, if you remember, I made a red and white striped stocking hat, like the long stocking hat, which I'm thinking of ripping out because it ended up being so loose here and it's heavy. It just pulls off my head, and I might make it myself a chimney hat. But it's so cute. So I said, do you want a pom-pom on it? And he's like, yeah, I'd wear a pom-pom. Not like a big one, but I could wear a pom-pom. And I'm like, you know, it would be really cute. I mean, it's a chimney after all. What if we make little Santa legs? stick little Santa legs on the top. So I did. So what I did is I was looking all over. I'm like, okay, what if I just found like a Santa stuffed animal or a plushie kind of thing, and I can cut it and stick that on? Do I just do legs? But no, it's got to have like a butt so it doesn't just look like he's got antennas. And I was searching and searching, and I was trying to figure out, I'm like, well, maybe it should be Santa's head. You know, just went through this whole thing of trying to figure out what to do. And so I thought, maybe I can just buy Santa legs, right? So I saw a picture. I don't even remember what link it took me to, but it was like an ornament kind of thing that you could stick on your tree. So it looks like Santa's sticking his legs out of the tree. And I'm like, actually, that should be really easy to make. So I just kind of looked at the design of it. So it's really just a V. So I just drew out little Santa legs on a piece of paper. And, you know, I was like, yeah, that's about the size that I need. And got some red fabric that I had and sewed up the little pants, sewed it right sides together, pulled it all through one of the legs. And I thought, well, it'd be really cute if you could make Santa's legs bend. So I put a pipe cleaner, doubled up a pipe cleaner and stuck that in there, and then just stuffed it with like plushie stuffing. Cut out the boots out of some black felt that I have, and I did that because I needed to hand stitch it because there was no way I could have turned that back inside out. So I just hand stitched the little boots. This is just polyester batting that I cut a little strip, and I just hot glued that on, sewed it onto the top of the hat. I did stick, I don't know if you can see, just a little bit of that batting so I had something to sew to, because thread would just pull through the knitted piece. This is acrylic worsted weight, something I got last year for making my hat. It was probably like Joann's branded or something. It's pretty thick because it is stranded color work. And this was done on that same machine. And it was just a matter of pulling some stitches forward so they didn't stitch in the red. And then I actually hand knit you lay like I said, it's like a latch hook, and I would just lay the yarn over and pull the stitch through, and just did that across to make the mortar of the bricks. And then I just topped it with white because it's like snow on the top of the chimney, and it's turned out super cute. Now Jim's like, yeah, you put Santa legs on, I'll wear that to work. So we'll see if he will, because he's not one to try and get attention, and he's not goofy like that. But I hope he wears it to work because I think it'll be really funny. I'm hoping that I made it in a way that doesn't look, because you could even kind of make Santa go woo. I hope it doesn't look too much like an antenna, because that's not what it's supposed to look like. But I think it's pretty cute. So anyway, that is what I made, and I am on the hunt now. I'm going to make more hats because I think this style hat particularly, it was so quick. It's and making it out of acrylic is good because it's going to people that aren't going to be laundering it, and if they do, they're not going to be caring for wool. I'm going to see what I can find at like Walmart, Joann's, anything like that maybe has a little bit of wool in it, like a wool blend, just because wool's warmer. But Gail, I'm going to be making you some hats. And so yeah, I've become totally obsessed with all of that. So I've been wanting to kind of play with it. When I found, something to make on it like this, it was like, okay, I have to try this. I have to figure this out. And like when I was making this and I got, about here and I screwed it up. So I had to take it all out because there wasn't any way for me to fix it. And I was like, what did I do wrong? And I can't let that go. I have to solve that problem before I can move on. So it was like, we ate dinner and all. I'm like, I got to go up and I got to finish that hat because I got to process this all the way to the end or I'm not going to be able to sleep. So I just totally become obsessed as per usual. But it's fun. So, okay, that's it. Like I said, pretty short and sweet. And I hope your holiday season goes well and you're able to be with people that you love, whether you celebrate or not. I hope you get to be with people you love. So until next time, please be safe and spread love, and love to you all. Bye.